Hi everyone. So we move on to week 6, and in this week we will discuss about the Theravada traditions, Mahayana traditions, and so forth. Let me share with you the screen. So this is the schedule for week 6, and please remember we have online meeting on Thursday, July 15. Again, we review the materials, and if you have a question during that session, just let me know. And please participate so that you can get 10 points for that participation. Otherwise, you would not. So this week we talk about part 2, chapter 7, Theravada Buddhism, and chapter 8, Mahayana Buddhism, as well as part 3, chapter 3, Mahayana scriptures. So let me go over with you briefly about the Theravada traditions. Let me share with you the image that where Buddhism spread to the country. There's prevalence of Theravada traditions. Let me share with you this information here. Okay, just be with me. Let me pull out the map, and I hope that you can see the screen here. Here are the paths that Buddhism spread from India to Tibet, to China, to Korea, Japan, Vietnam. This is on the north side. On the south side, it spread to Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia. So here is the color for Mahayana and Theravada traditions. That's where Buddhism spread to. And here are the countries that are prevalence in Theravada traditions, like Myanmar nowadays, Burma, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Sri Lanka. Another one, you can see this. So now in Sri Lanka, there's about 70% of populations is Buddhist, and in Myanmar or Burma it's about 90%, Thailand is 90%, Cambodia 96%. So like I discussed in the last times, especially last week, after the second Buddhist Council, so Buddhism start to split up between the Theravada and the Mahasanghika, and to the third Buddhist Council that were organized by the King Ashoka. Eventually, Theravada traditions is more prevalent, and after that council, King Ashoka sent 9 delegations to 9 different regions around India, as well as the far east and far west of India we discussed before. So today we just focus on talking about the basic Theravada belief, practice, and principle, so that you can follow. So Thera, that means elder. Vadas together is the way of the Thera, or the way of the elders, the conservative traditions. So this school try to remain closer to the original teaching of Buddha. So they emphasize on how to preserve the Buddha teaching in the original teaching, and they regard the Buddha as a man who have attained enlightenment, and it's quite different that they don't regard, even in the Mahayana tradition too, we don't regard the Buddha as a supreme God, but the enlightened one, the awakening one, the one that provides us the teaching and the path for us to follow. So in the previous weeks, we talk about the miracles of the Buddhas, and we recognize as for any awakened beings, they have those kind of power or skill because of their pure mind, and everyone has that kind of a special skill or a second power of these second eyes, second ears, and so forth. They can see far distant, million or even billion miles away, or they can hear that far too. So that come from their practice. It's not been blessed or given by any supreme God or any one that bestow to them, but they can attain to that state of mind. They can develop that skill, and everyone can have that skill if we can purify our mind. So the way of the Theravada, based on the Four Noble Truths that we discussed before, the truth of suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path to end the suffering. That includes the Eightfold Paths that we discussed before. Let me share with you the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Paths. That are the basic teaching of the Buddha that the Theravada tradition propagate or preserve. That here's the Four Noble Truths here: the truth of suffering, the dukkha, the original cause of suffering, the extinction of suffering, the path to end the suffering. So we need to recognize, to understand dukkha, to understand the dissatisfaction or the suffering that we endure. We need to recognize this dukkha. That means the suffering. For example, the physical body has to go through birth, aging, illness, and death. So there's no exception. No one can escape from that. And it's encouragement that we need to recognize that we can can understand dukkha, that means suffering. The other side of suffering is happiness, and we can realize that we can transform those sufferings into the happiness. Especially we can transform our mind from all kind of mental fluctuation like stress, anxiety, depression, and so forth. And the original of dukkha, this means the root of suffering. The Buddha reminds us that they are let's see, I think it's better, the desire or the craving, the anger and delusion. We talked about that last time. And suffering can be overcome if we know how. If we put effort into our practice, we can overcome those sufferings, especially mental suffering. And the path to end the sufferings was prescribed by the Buddha through the Noble Eightfold Paths. It's just here. Let me put it down. Okay, let me type this. This one here. Yeah. Okay, so the first one is the truth of suffering. Second one is the cause of suffering. The third is cessation of suffering. The fourth is the path to end the suffering. There's Noble Eightfold Paths, include wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline that I discussed before, and even you can see right here too. So we talk about right views, right intention. That belong to the wisdom part. We can change that. We can correct our views. We can correct our intention, and eventually it will affect to how we speak, how we talk, how we act, and how we conduct ourselves in life. But without mind training of right mindfulness and right concentration as well as right effort, it's not easy for us to transform our mind. So those are the basic principles of the Theravada traditions. And beside that, we have what we call 12 cleanse condition, or to cleanse up dependent origination, and it's based upon the teaching that in the past life we have some type of delusion. Because of those delusion, we raise some type of karmas, and after we pass away, those karma will move on in the form of consciousness to our next life, and that's not the next one, the next life. And when we have the next life, we have name and form, the body and the mind. And when we have the body and mind, we have six sense organ, and the eyes, ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind. And as long as we have the six sense organs, we have contact. For example, we open our eyes, we see the flowers, we see the car move around, and so forth. With the contact, we have some type of feeling, good feeling, bad feeling, good sensation, bad sensation, and so forth. Like when we consume a piece of ice cream, we feel good. We have good feeling about that piece of ice cream. But let's say when we bite a hot pepper, it's so hot, it's burn our tongue. We don't have good feeling about it, and because of good feeling, we have attachment. That's what desire is about. I like ice cream because it made me happy, made me feel good, and I want to have more. Because of this desire of craving, we want to have more. We want the processes. We want to buy more. We want to make more. And because of possession, we crave for the next one. We crave for our next assistant for the next life. And that's why both Asian and that's future. From consciousness up to here, this is in present life. Let me give you one example. Like most of us, when we were born, when we were little, we were not yet used of using computer or internet yet. But now, computer, internet, cell phone, iPad, and so forth are part of our life. We cannot depart from them. We check our email within few minutes, not talking about within few hours. We check our text message from our friends, and so forth, so many times per day, and we get used of them, and we cannot depart from them. But let's say what happened if somehow we drop the cell phone into the water. Of course, we cannot use that particular cell phone anymore. But doesn't mean that we give up to use the cell phone. We will find different cell phone to buy and use again. So do our next life. Now we get used of all kind of attachment, all kind of habitual patterns, like driving the cars, having relationship with our friends, our family members, and so forth. After we're done with this life, it doesn't mean that we end. We will find different form of lives to move on. It's like when we broke our cell phone, our cell phone was damaged, we need to find another one to use. So that's why, because of a craving for assistance, we move on to find different form of lives. So again, those are the basic teaching of the Theravada traditions. And of course, I can spend hours and hours, days and days to talk about the Theravada principle and teaching. Last time I show you the video clip about how to find the Buddhist Sutra in the Pali or Theravada traditions. Here you can search for, let's say, subject, and they have all kind of subject for you to find. And here, for example, admonishment, Asian, and so forth. You can click on this short sutra. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long. That the Buddha mentioned about old age and so forth. So Buddha has spoken or taught for more than 45 years, and he taught every day. And that's the reason why his teaching is so numerous that even monks among us in our lifetime, we could not study all, we could not read all. We may be selective. We may select out whichever teaching or principle that's suitable for our practice or suitable for teaching others. So that's why if we want to understand the Buddha's view about life, whether it's related to how we conduct ourselves, how we transform our mind, and so forth, we may go here to find the subject of studying, so that we can learn from the Buddha wisdom. So that is the basic teachings of the Buddha, and it's like the whole libraries that we can find different subject of learning. So again, go back to the monastic life of the Theravada traditions, how they conduct themselves. So most of the time, the basic principle of the Theravada tradition is that we need to practice by ourselves. We need to rely upon ourselves. we cannot rely upon others, especially while we're doing meditations. And we need to put enough effort to do the practice until we attain arhatship or nirvana. So nirvana is the state of everlasting peacefulness and happiness without any kind of mental fluctuations. That's the general definition of the nirvanas. And of course, for the lay people, whether they follow Theravada, Mahayana, or Vajrayana tradition, they need to follow the 5 basic moralities, principle, rules, like no killing, no stealing, no such misconduct, no lying, no taking intoxicant. So all Buddhists, regardless of tradition, need to abide those 5 precepts. But somehow in the Theravada tradition, they advocate more or focus more on the monastic life of monks. So that's what we call Sangha. Sangha has mean the monastic communities of monks and nuns. So they focus on the rules for the monks, about 227. Within their rules, there are some major and minor rules that the monk needs to abide to. And on the top of that, they need to do meditations. Without doing meditation, keeping the rules is like just tie ourselves down. That's why meditation is the most important aspect of the Theravada monks, that they need to practice, whether samatha, that means common meditation, and vipassana, that means insight meditation, and that I explained before. Samatha, that means we sharpen our concentration, we defocus our mind, so that we can have concentration on whichever thing we do, so that we can be more successful, more mindful. And especially with that kind of concentration, we would not be disturbed by other external environment. We have firm mind and concentrated mind. And the vipassana, that means insight meditation, help us to realize the things as the way they are, so that we would not be deluded by whichever happening in our life. So for example, if we see a book and we just recognize, oh, this is a book, but if we manipulate our own thought, we analyze, we discriminate, oh, this is blue book, red book, and so forth. This is the book I like, this is the book I don't like. At that times, our emotion may pop up, and that's where suffering comes from. That's why we need to see the things as the way they are, not to manipulate our own thought, the scenes and situation. So that's just a general explanation of vipassana. It's a series of concentrations. For concentration, like while we are driving the car, we just focus on driving the cars. But let's say if we stop the car gently and slowly, we pay attention on that act, and we're mindful of that act. That's called vipassana, insight. And when we step down, we know which foot we put down first and which one is later. With that mindfulness, that's called insight meditation. And when we get into the house to consume food, we recognize how we sit down, how we put our food into our mouth, how we choose the food and the sensation we can recognize. That is the mindfulness aspect of meditation. And for the lay people, usually they will bring the food to the temple, or last time I show you that the lay people, especially in Thailand, in Burma, Sri Lanka, and so forth, usually the lay people would stand in front of their house on the street to make offerings to the monks, to give the food to the monks. Let me share with you some video clip. Okay, here. Okay, let me share with you a short video clips so you can see how the people in here in Burma or Myanmar offer the food to the monk on the street or on the road. Let me skip. Okay. Here, the people stand on the road, and they took up the shoe to show respect, and they put the food into the bowl of those young novices. And so they leave the monastery before 6 a.m. So lay people, they cook the food first, and when they see the monk, they make that kind of offerings. That's how they support the monks, and even they bow down after they make those kind of offerings to show the respect. Okay. So here again, the monk passed by the house to receive the food from this lady. So this kind of practice has been carried on for more than 2,000 years since the Buddha times. And of course, those monks are not supposed to cook food at the monastery or temple. They just go out to receive the offerings from the lay people in that way. For the lay people, this is the way they generate the merit. Okay. Young and old, so they walk barefoot on the street, on the road, and they supposed to bring the food back to monastery to eat together. Okay, so that is a shift between the Buddhist monks and lay people, and some of them, they may bring the food to the temple, and they support to build the temple financially for the Buddhist monks to practice at their centers, and that's the way they can generate their own blessing. And in some countries like Thailand, Burma, and Sri Lanka, they have some laws that designate the government to protect the Buddhist monk. It's been for 1,000 years. They follow that type of leadership and connection between the Buddhist Sangha or Buddhist monks and the government and the royal families. So let me show you some short video clips about how the Radha monks live and practice by themselves. Okay, let me show you this so that we can be familiar with this tradition. And here you see that this is early in the morning. They wake up early, so they gather to clean the temple before 5 a.m. And they prepare for the morning chanting. And after the chanting, they prepare the bowl to go out to bed for food. They have some teas. Of course, in the Theravada traditions, they are allowed to eat breakfast, not the dinner, and they go out. That's the bowl, baking bowl, and some utensil there. So here they pick up their bowl to go out beg for food on the street. That's what they call daily alms round in the village. They work together, and they're supposed to work in silence, in the mindful way. And here the lay people, they stand and wait for the monks to come and receive the offerings from them. They receive the food offerings from lay people until they pour. The bowl are full. So they go house and house. It takes them 1 hour to walk around the village to get the food. Here they say it's about 5 kilometers. So after that they go back to the monastery. For those monks, they walk barefoot, no sandal, no shoes. They can walk barefoot, and they get back to the monastery and share the food together. Of course, in some monastery, they have lay people who volunteer their time to come and sort out the food, so that they could make offerings to the monks one more times. before they consume the food, they do the prayer too. And they eat only one meal a day. They eat from their bowl with mix of food.
มีแต่ทำงานและสุดท้ายของเขาตายที่สำคัญที่ทำกับชาติ
And
สำคัญมาก
after the meal, they give the teaching to the lay people. So of course, before eating, the monk contemplate their food, reflection of the purpose of eating. Here, after eating, they wash their bowl. You see that each of them have the big bowl there. After washing the bowl, they dry it out by themselves and put it back neatly. And of course, they clean the hole by themselves with the help of lay people. In some monastery, they have some people, the lay people, come to help out too. And here for this forest monk, they have only 3 ropes. And of course, they give the leftover food to the animals. After eating the meal, they go back to their hut to clean up themselves and to practice meditation. So from that time on, they practice meditation, including sitting, standing, and walking for the whole day. And this is the path for them to walk back and forth, to be mindful on every step they have. And this monastery is located probably in the hill, it's on the hill. They wash and dye their robe too. So this is the wood that may give the colors for them to dye the robes. They have been practicing this kind of methods for thousands of years. They boil the water for one day to dye the robes. Anyway, so this clip is pretty long. Actually, they cut or shave the hair too, once per month. So cutting the hair is the symbolic way of cutting off the attachment and all desire. And they make the brooms to sweep the floor by themselves. So this is the afternoon. They sweep their route to keep everything clean. And while they're sweeping, they be mindful. They should be mindful. So sweeping is considered as another practice of mindfulness. And of course, they have the practice to clean the public areas too, and to wash the bowl, the utensil. And up to around 5 p.m. They have
the most difficult thing is really when you
tea
get your mind
meal.
going out to bring it back to the Buddha. The future has not come. อนาคตยังไม่มาอดีตผ่านไปแล้วเดี๋ยวนี้อยู่ในปัจจุบันแต่ทำไมของเราชอบอยู่ในอนาคต
So this is late afternoon times. So the head monk would give the lecture for the lay people and even the young monks.
Does anybody remember the song? It was in the 70s or 80s. Don't worry, be happy. The moment we worry, we are unhappy. We worry about tomorrow. And tomorrow, has it come? No. We worry about yesterday. Can we change anything? Why don't we just stay in the present moment? And there are no worries in the present moment.
This is the evening times. They take a shower for themselves. And they clean up by themselves. Evening times they close the gate. And every new full moon, they decide the monk rules to remind each other to live in the Buddhist rules. And this is the evening chanting. And lay people come and participate in this chanting too. Okay, so these are the schedule or the activities of the Radha monks for a day. And there's other video clips about what they call the rain retreats. That's been for the monks every summer. They need to stay back at the monastery to do this kind of rain retreats. During the Buddha times, only doing this rain retreat, the monk came together to study together, to sit in meditation together, and support each other spiritually. And after the rainy retreats, they would depart from each other so that they can go and give the teaching to different people from different regions. Let me share with you this video clips about what is meant by rain retreat.
If you've seen the videos of men arriving in Thailand to ordain in a temporary IDOP program for foreigner monks, you'll understand just some of the extraordinary road one must travel to become a monk. Over the course of this 4 to 5 week program, you'll have seen firsthand some of the Dhammadaitas, their journey, their struggles, and their transformations. After the program is completed, most of these men will return to their native countries and hopefully bring back the lessons that they learned. But what about those who choose to stay on longer? What makes them want to stay? What's in store for them? And what will their lives be like? How will they influence the world around them once they've been transformed themselves? These are some of the questions we'll explore today, so stay tuned. Upon touching down, they experience an utter culture shock. The scorching heat, unfamiliar currencies, customs, traditions, cuisine, and language are all a way of life completely foreign to them. The new monk, however, is trained to master his 5 senses, to surrender to this new world and way of life. This vision of the new man he hopes to become is what allows him to overcome the fear of the unknown. Upon arrival, they are immediately separated from their belongings. They exchange their street clothes for a simple, all-white garment and set up their tents to officially begin their transition into monkhood. They also begin their hectic daily schedule, which runs from 4 a.m. until 10 p.m. Instruction is given on morning and evening chanting, ordination chanting, and bowing. The monks are bombarded with new information: how to eat, clean, shower, meditate, fold robes, and so much more. They're introduced to UG5 and experience the emotion of hair shaving ceremony, forgiveness ceremony, ordination day, temple tours, and a 2-week meditation retreat in Chiang Mai. This frenzy continues for 45 days, and then suddenly it ceases. As the program comes to a close, most of the men return back to their home country, while the remainder stay on and continue with their monkhood. These men officially transition into their first Pansa, or 3-month rains retreat. Here, the pace of life for the new monk drastically slows down. This monastic retreat is observed primarily in Buddhist communities in Southeast Asia. The Pansa is a time of rest and reflection following all the monks' work and training. This rains retreat is a cleansing of sorts, of body, mind, and spirit, which finds it parallel in the heavy rain that washes the earth in this part of the world. The Pansa can begin as early as June or July and run until September or October of the Buddhist lunar calendar. In either case, once it begins, the monks must remain in one place for the entire 3-month period. Retreating hours away from the city to their sanctuary at the International Buddhist Monk Training Center in Prachinburi. Devotees continue their training as monks. IBTC was built in 2013 with the intention of training international monks and is situated on 101 Rai, or approximately 40 acres in the Prachinburi province. This advanced training facility balances modern touches with solitude and silence. It features a school, beautiful meditation rooms, a library to study Dhamma, community sleeping areas, and individual kuti for new monks. The center is surrounded by a variety of trees and plants, the beauty and tranquility of nature. A Buddhist monk is known in Pali language as a bhikkhu, meaning one who lives on alms. With their basic needs met, the international monks needn't worry about food, allowing them time to ponder and practice the Dhamma. During his free time, he may help in cleaning the residence, finding in his work another path along his meditation practice.
Okay, anyway, so it's similar to the previous video clips that I showed to you, and this during the Renin retreat. That's been 3 months of retreat for the one who dedicate their times in long periods of time as Buddhist monk. So that's one of the activities, and the other clip is similar too. And I want to share with you some clip that may be funny, and actually in the Buddhist tradition, the little boys can be ordained as early as 7-year-old. So this is the video clips about the little monks falling asleep or sharing the joke with each other. Okay, and this one, there's another one here. It's short too, it's be a bit funny too. Again, in this tradition, probably this little boy is much younger than 7 then, and they still accept them into the training so that they can get used of the monastic lifestyle when they were little. Of course, because of the hard work and long study, That's why it's easy for them to fall asleep. Look at these little children. They still have the strength to sit up by themselves. Of course, for them, they're still young to do meditation, but that's a training for them when they were that young age. In Buddhist traditions, when we young, it's easy for us to understand the teaching than when we getting older. If we getting older, or the more we getting older, the harder for us to consume the knowledge or to take in the knowledge. So that's why it's better to receive the teaching when we are young. That's why in both Mahayana and Theravada traditions, we allow those young boys to join in the order temporarily, so that they can get use of this monastic lifestyle. And this is a bit longer, but it's similar activities like the old monks that we just watched. But here they follow this daily schedule after they wake up. So this morning they have some kind of tea to drink. Anyway, since we have only a couple of minutes to go, let me summarize what I want to share with you today about the Theravada traditions. That they focus on individual practice to attain enlightenment, to attain nirvana. So they rely upon the self power, that you need to do the practice in order to transform your own mind, your mental affliction. There's no way other people can help you out except yourself. And that's why it's really focused on the personal spiritual developments. And you see those video clips that the monk would not cook, would not do any things like the lay people. They rely upon the lay people to support the food and the clothes and the place for them to stay to do the practice. So during the Buddha times and up to now, especially the Theravada traditions, they want to uphold and preserve that traditions. They not supposed to keep money. They're not supposed to keep any luxury things. They are allowed to keep one bowl, 3 robes, and whenever they sick, of course they can receive the medicine from lay people. The lay people in those countries, they made offerings, the food to them. They built a temple for them to practice, and of course, in return, they could come to the temple to listen to the sermon of the monks. And of course, in any tradition nowadays, you can see that whether they are the priest, the monk, the pastor, they do their job at the temple, at the churches, at their religious center, and in return, the lay people, they come and support financially and materially. Of course, the way how they support maybe varies, but the theme is similar. So the pastor, the monks, the priests, and the nuns support to focus their mind on spiritual paths, and teach the lay followers. In meantimes, the lay followers support to help or support the monastic community, spiritual communities, financially and materially. So these are the mutual support between the secular people, that means lay people, and the spiritual communities. So it's prevalent in every traditions. But of course, in the Theravada traditions, it's more specific that they rely upon the support of the lay people to bring or to offer the foods for them to survive in the daily basic. And of course, the lay people support them to build the monastery, for them to stay and practice meditation. In return, they come to the meditation hall or temple to seek the spiritual advice from those monks. And of course, it takes time for Buddhist monks and nuns to have some kind of awakenings or realizations. But with the effort that they put in every day, eventually they could achieve to that state of mind. They could purify their mental afflictions. So that's what relate to the Theravada traditions within Buddhism. So let me stop here, and I will continue to talk about Mahayana Buddhist tradition next time. Okay, see you then.